Gracias, John, por esa excelente presentación sobre la coordinación internacional en los organismos internacionales de estos estados fascistas. Quiero ahora pasar a los panelistas, los representantes de los diversos movimientos de resistencia que van a compartir sus experiencias y su visión de la lucha en cada país. Now I want to begin the section with our panelists who are going to share with us their vision of the struggle in their countries, the state that struggle is in, and what lessons we can share, all of us, in the promotion of democracy. And I want to begin with Dymtro Potiekhin. He's a Ukrainian journalist and an expert on strategic nonviolence who played a major role in the Orange Revolution in Ukraine and has continued to train and to prepare conditions for nonviolent resistance in Ukraine. Dymtro, please.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, let me thank you, this place and the Cuban director, and they are great babysitters. You know, I'm enjoying the city, and yeah, it's very efficient. I would keep my speech short. But I would start from just 2 points on Russia and the Ukraine relations. We have to understand that actually what Putin is doing, he is doing 2 things. First, he is selling to his own voters myth of powerful Russian neo-imperial state, actually a version of the Soviet Union. And the key thing in this attempt to deliver this vision is ability to show that there is some small state next to Russia which is controlled by this huge neo-Soviet empire. And after Georgia, it became very difficult for him, you know, because he did not even manage to take the capital of Georgia, Tbilisi. So in Ukraine, this is basically the only place now that giving the chance to Putin to act. And this is something which is possible to be delivered for him instead of democracy and good governance in Russia. It's much easier, you know, and that's the way he can excuse presence of his friends in the Kremlin. But another thing is very practical and much less ideological. It is production and trafficking of arms. Russian military-industrial complex depends upon the Ukrainian military companies since the Soviet Union times. About 30% of arms produced in Russia actually made in Ukraine. Just for instance, the helicopters that sold by Russia and the helicopters that even the United States used to buy just recently, they were equipped with engines made in Ukrainian factory called Motor Sich in central Ukraine. Another thing is delivery of these weapons. Ukraine has the port next to Mykolaiv. It's a small, actually, village called Oktyabrskaya. And this is a short route for Russian-produced arms to basically the rest of the world. The thing is that this is because this route is through the Dnieper River and Black Sea. It is 3 times shorter than from any other Russian port, because they have all those ports, and it's St. Petersburg or Novorossiysk. So these things, production of arms and delivery of the arms, these are quite important thing for Putin personally, because several people who control this delivery things, and I guess also production component of the whole business, they are personal associates of Putin. If you Google for Odessa network, you will find out very detailed report on the deliveries of the Russian arms through the Ukrainian ports to a number of countries. And believe me, all the countries that represented here today they are in the list of the shipments delivered via this Ukrainian port in the last year. Just with even, for instance, seven ships sent to Venezuela last year. So these two things, the need for Russia, for imperial Russia, or I would say neo-imperial Russia, to sell this myth of ability to control some small state next to its border, and the need to make money. These are two quite important things for Putin and his associates to deal with Ukraine now and to occupy not only Crimea but also some other parts of Ukraine, because Mykolaiv and this Oktyabrski port, these are actually mainland Ukraine. Okay, and the production facilities, these, for instance, Motor Sich factory, it's also mainland Ukraine. It's not Crimea. So something important and something really working needed now to stop him. And the second thing I can more or less surely talk about is the way that can be used to stop him. Since 2004, when I coordinated the biggest campaign in Ukraine to stop Yanukovych and his friends, who are actually controlling these factories. Now they left country, they are hiding together with Putin or together with Yanukovych in Russia or other countries, but they are the guys who are in control of this military-industrial complex in Ukraine. So in 2004, despite of the fact that Putin supported Yanukovych, we managed to stop him. And that was done not just by millions of Ukrainians, but also with about $1 million from US taxpayers. I'm not expert in military resistance and military campaigns, but I know that because of that neo-imperial nature of Russian politics and because of the type of businesses that are backing Putin, they're very bad in dealing with soft power. They're trying to, of course, spread propaganda stuff, but they're very bad in that because they are just trying to lie, and well, propaganda in the end does not work. So I know that Ukraine has experience doing that. That time it was not against military invasion, it was against falsification of the vote, but we managed to stop them. And I know that other countries present here, they are very different countries, okay? And there is no single strategy which would be efficient in every of this country. But what I know for sure, that people in most of this, well, basically in all of these countries, they are suffering, okay? And they would like to protect their rights. Because I trained people in Egypt in 2008, in Iran. Some of these countries, they are more successful in resisting their oppressors. Some of these countries less successful. But without support and without knowledge how to do that strategically, it's basically important to change these things. And the key demand for change, the key demand for resistance, it always comes from inside the country. But it works much more efficiently when people can have resources to deal with those regimes. My experience is that usually political oppositions, they are ready to fight, but usually they don't believe in their own people in most of the cases, unfortunately. And because in most of the cases, even the opposition politicians, they're formerly also bureaucrats or politicians from some previous regimes. They have problems with trust from their own voters. Besides, people are not ready to go down the streets just, to make some other guy or lady change the regime. People would like to see somebody who is just fighting for the rights. People are ready to come out on the streets and protect their own future. their own parents, kids, families. And that's why civil resistance and civic movement, non-partisan movements, they are much more efficient. And they are much more difficult to be oppressed because usually they have no leaders, or they have informal leaders. They build these networks, so it's much more difficult for regime to stop them, to buy, to kill, to imprison the leaders, because next day they will have even more people on the streets. And that's how we did it in 2004 in Ukraine. This time when Yanukovych was ousted, unfortunately it was with more violence for a number of reasons. And unfortunately the congressmen, women left us, but my feeling is, comparing 2004 and 2013 and 14 in Ukraine, was that when Republicans are in the White House, they're ready to fund something in Ukraine, but they are too busy to arrange things on the ground. So local citizens have to do that. And that's how it worked in 2004 in Ukraine. They were not afraid of giving money for fair elections and for protection Ukraine against Russia. And I feel like, now it's still a problem in the White House. But at the same time, our colleagues from the Republican administration, they were not telling us what to do. Actually, it was vice versa. I mean, we came here for a conference, we discussed things, and then we came back and we wrote the strategic plan completely. And then asked for a waiver from USAID to change the strategy to make it really working in the country. And at that point I was surprised with flexibility of the US side, ready to actually listen to what we needed on the ground. And at the end, even the former congressman helped us because when the security service of Ukraine came with the search of my office looking for explosives and terrorist literature, of course they did not found anything, but they found a former congressman, US congressman in our office. And that was a very big problem for the security service because they could not even leave our office because press, Ukrainian press, international press was waiting outside, and they realized that actually they got a wrong court decision for wrong place because it was moved by propaganda machine. They are bureaucrats, they want to make careers. So they want, the security officers, they want to report on some successes. And they're coming to this office of US-funded NGO, and they can find nothing but a very important person from the United States. So they had to spend about 5 hours sitting in the office just waiting for press to leave. And this is how actually this can work. I don't claim that in other countries it is the same because level of freedom of press is different. Well, readiness of the people to work with US officials is less. But in principle, the basic things, they work this way. If there is demand from the country, if there is readiness on the US and hopefully now EU side to support those needs, then it can work, and it can work successfully. And the final point here. There is a very interesting study done by 2 US academicians. They compared 2 types of campaigns. I'm here kind of biased presenter because I don't know anything about military operations, so I claim that the best way to do things is through nonviolence. It's not just preying on these things. This study showed that compared campaigns, both violent and nonviolent, showed that nonviolent campaigns are twice as efficient than violent campaigns when dealing with such regimes. This you can find this study. It's called "Why Civil Resistance Works." It's very interesting. It looks at the main campaign done in the last 100 years all over the world. And I would like to stop here and to thank you and thank the organizers.
Thank you very much.